Now with all the latest stories making the headlines, it's the ITV News.
Clashes on the streets of Paris after a gunman with a history of alleged racist violence kills 3 people. Police fired tear gas as crowds took to the streets. The suspect was facing trial for a previous racist attack. Also tonight, nurses threaten more strikes with war for the new year in England. Meanwhile, air passengers could face months of disruption as striking Border Force staff say they're prepared for the long haul. And Kate's Carols at Christmas, dedicated to the late Queen.
Her Majesty leaves with us an incredible legacy, and one that has deeply inspired many of us.
This is ITV News with Rebecca Barry.
Good evening. It was just days before Christmas and it was busy in the centre of Paris this afternoon as a gunman opened fire, killing 3 people. Several others were injured in the shooting near a Kurdish cultural centre. It's emerged the suspect had only recently been released from prison awaiting trial for an alleged racist attack last year. There were clashes between police and crowds in the neighbourhood as prosecutors confirmed they're investigating a possible racist motive. Sejal Karia has the latest.
Clashes on the streets of Paris tonight between protesters and police. Demonstrators throwing bottles and other objects at riot police who respond with tear gas. Anger spilling over after a gunman opened fire here earlier today, killing 3 people. One of the targets, a Kurdish cultural centre, in what's suspected to be a racist attack.
We were walking in the street when we heard gunshots. We saw people running in all directions. Afterwards, we went into the hairdressers nearby and we saw an elderly man being held in the salon. There were 3 injured people in there.
A hairdresser's that soon became another target where more shots were fired, and where a few minutes later footage appears to show police leading a man out of the salon in handcuffs while emergency services move in with stretchers to bring out the injured. The suspect, held against a nearby shutter, is said to be a 69-year-old French national who'd recently been freed from jail and who French prosecutors said had a history of racist violence.
It is not certain that the killer wanted to murder members of the Kurdish community, but there is little doubt that he has targeted foreigners. More will be known when prosecutors and investigators question him.
Police described the gunman as Caucasian and a French citizen, known to authorities for 2 separate attempted murders in 2016 and 2021, and only recently released from jail pending trial after allegedly attacking a migrant camp in Paris last year, slashing tents with a sword. The scene of the shooting was sealed off as the wounded were carried away on stretchers, and armed police patrolled the streets. Today's attack happening almost a decade after 3 Kurdish women were murdered here, and tonight many are feeling under attack and underprotected. A candlelit vigil is expected here later tonight. Sejal Karia, ITV News.
Back home, and the Royal College of Nursing is escalating its industrial action in England, announcing 2 new strike dates in the new year unless the government opens talks about pay. Our political correspondent Libby Wiener reports.
Sorting the economy out? Well, that is exactly what I'm trying to do.
Sorting the economy out, he says, is the priority. It's why, after serving breakfast at a homeless shelter today, the Prime Minister again appeared to rule out any new pay increases in the public sector.
Really sad and disappointed about the disruption that is being caused to so many people's lives, particularly at Christmas time. You know, when it comes to, let's be honest, it's a difficult question of setting public sector pay. The government has acted fairly and reasonably.
But what about a one-off payment to NHS staff? That was less clear.
As the Health Secretary and I have previously said, our door is always open.
RCN members are set to strike on Wednesday the 18th and Thursday the 19th of January. Meanwhile, GMB ambulance staff will join Unison in a strike on Wednesday the 11th of January. The union scrapped one planned for next week.
Better pay would be great.
Before now, nurses had never taken strike action, but they say the pay deal on offer is simply not enough.
Through COVID, people thought, gosh, will we survive this? They survived it and thought things would get better. And I think now people have lost hope that actually things will improve without something radical happening, and feel they've been left with no alternative but to take such drastic action.
This patient, who has a heart condition, says he backs the nurses, even though his treatment has been delayed.
I'm not certain yet whether or not that will be affected by any nurses' strike in the middle of January again. But ultimately, it's a price that I feel that we've just got to take, unfortunately. My sympathy is totally with the nurses. For goodness sake, the government should just talk to them.
But while the new Prime Minister was among those clapping enthusiastically for the NHS during the pandemic, for now, no new talks are scheduled. Libby Vina, ITV News, Westminster.
And the government's been warned that the strike by Border Force officials at airports could last for months into the new year. The PCS union began the first of a string of strikes today. Staff walked out at Glasgow, Manchester, Birmingham, Cardiff, Heathrow and Gatwick. There are 8 days of strikes taking place every day until New Year's Eve, with the exception of next Tuesday. Martin Stew is at Gatwick Airport tonight. Martin, today at least it seems major disruption was avoided.
Yes, so far, so good. But as you hinted to, there could well be more disruption as we head into the new year. The boss of the PCS union saying if no deal is struck, we could see months of strikes ahead. And at the moment, a deal is a long way off. The government has offered a 2% pay rise. The union wants 10% as well, and improvements to pay and working conditions. As that disruption, a much better story. The arrivals hall here at Gatwick resembling something more from Love Actually than The Nightmare Before Christmas. Thanks to soldiers and civil servants stepping in, many passengers said actually it was quicker getting through passport control than it normally would be.
The army officers were everywhere and they were great, actually. They were very smiley. But for us, it was really easy, so we were fine.
Yeah, we used the e-gate and then that's it. It was done in less than 1 minute.
Well, I didn't experience any problems at all. It was smooth. There was nothing wrong. Like, easy, quick.
Now, those e-gates have been a success, although they can't be used by children under 12. And there could be more disruption as we head after Christmas, with more people flying back to the UK. The 30th should be the real pinch point. Add into that the fact people have got to get to the airports. And yes, we've got another train strike tomorrow. A reminder that starts at 6 p.m, but services are likely to be disrupted all day.
Martin, thank you. And on our new streaming service, ITVX, if you scroll to the news section, you'll find details on all the strikes affecting transport over the next week. More than 1 million people are without power as a once-in-a-generation winter storm brings record low temperatures across the US and Canada. Forecasters say the heavy snow, strong winds and bone-chilling temperatures are almost unprecedented. The Arctic blast has made it feel close to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Thousands of flights have been cancelled. England World Cup winner George Cohen has died at the age of 83. He was part of the 1966 squad and played every minute of the 6 matches in the tournament and was vice-captain for the victory over West Germany in the Wembley final. His World Cup winning teammate Geoff Hurst tweeted, "Everyone without exception always said that George was such a lovely man." And finally, the Princess of Wales has dedicated a special Christmas carol service to the late Queen, saying her incredible legacy had deeply inspired many of us. The service at Westminster Abbey was recorded earlier this month, as our royal editor Chris Shipp reports.
Dressed in the blue and yellow of their home country, some of the children who performed in Westminster Abbey were living in Ukraine last Christmas, not knowing how their lives were about to change. Now settled in the UK and singing a carol for the King and Queen consorts at a service hosted by the Princess of Wales and dedicated to the late Queen Elizabeth.
Her Majesty leaves with us an incredible legacy, and one that has deeply inspired many of us.
Many of those Kate invited to the service were people that she and William had met during the year, like Inna Hihorovich, who runs St Mary's Ukrainian School.
My thoughts today are with those children who are in Ukraine in the cold, in the dark. I think many families will be treasuring going back to the memories from the previous Christmas when the whole family could be together around that Christmas dinner, singing happy Christmas songs about peace.
This is the second Christmas Carol concert the Princess of Wales has hosted. She arrived with two of her children, George and Charlotte. Those in the congregation included people like Caris Hammond, who often spend their Christmas days at work. Caris is a midwife and said she was pleased this carol service was remembering the late Queen.
The Queen obviously served the whole of her life, and my life is one of great service as well.
Yeah.
And we were
delivering babies at Christmas time, that's a pretty good service.
Yeah, and you know, it's not even just about delivering babies, it's about being there for the women and the families and making it such a precious time.
Silent night. The royal family were here en masse to support the Princess of Wales's service, which is rapidly becoming a regular feature in the pre-Christmas calendar. Chris Ship, ITV News, Westminster Abbey.
And that's all for now. I'm back with the late news at 10. Goodbye.